What's up guys, it's me Charlie, and in less than 40 hours we'll be entering a new season. Right, we'll be entering another season of ongoing. Okay, and I'm pretty excited. Okay, I'm free to play, so I won't get to mess around with Captain Carter off the bat, but I'm very excited for Goliath. Now I've actually done a review on Goliath in one of my previous videos already. Right, but long story short, Goliath is going to be a very strong card. Okay, I believe he's in an ongoing deck, he's going to put up at least 2/6 without any issues, which is Lizard. Alright, 2/6 is premium stats without drawbacks. Okay, the only drawback is that, well, you could be hit by an Enchantress, but that's a drawback for all ongoing decks anyway. So there is no additional drawback to, you know, Goliath hitting an easy 2/6. Okay, and there are nifty combos, little combos with Goliath that I think is going to make him just a crazy card. I think he's going to be an Ajax equivalent for ongoing decks, and it's insane because he comes at a very low cost, just 2 costs. Okay, so I do think that Goliath is going to be an S tier kind of card, right? Obviously he isn't going to just swing the game in your favor, but for the costing that he is at, I do believe that he's an S tier card, right? And I believe he's going to make ongoing decks very relevant in the meta. Not that ongoing decks are not relevant, because we have Sam Wilson already, you know, making waves. But I do believe with the addition of Goliath, ongoing decks are going to, you know, have a very long lasting stay in the meta. Well, without much further ado, let's go into the decks that Goliath is going to be very strong in. So the first deck will be the a very simple Sam Wilson ongoing deck. This is also the deck that got me to Infinite this season. This is also widely accepted as the best Sam Wilson ongoing deck, right? And there isn't much to, you know, talk about because there's just so many possibilities with this particular deck. Okay, but having said that, this deck has only one weakness, which is Lizard. Right, if you do not play Luke Cage, Lizard could potentially be reduced to a 2/2. Okay, and it makes it a little bit difficult to, you know, sorry, not difficult, it makes it a little bit less powerful. Right, so sometimes you run into the possibility, you run into the dilemma of, do I play Luke Cage? And if you didn't draw Anti-Venom, playing Luke Cage seems like, you know, a major loss of tempo, right? Unless you're facing affliction decks. But if you do not play Luke Cage, your Lizard may be reduced to a 2/2. So yeah, this creates kind of like a dilemma and a situation whereby, you know, you're not so sure. But with Goliath, what we can do is to easily remove Lizard and just place Goliath in. And Goliath is an easy 2/6. Alright, let's say you play one card on turn. Let's not say you play one card on turn 1. Let's say you play one card on turn 1 and turn 2. Alright, and you play a card on turn 3, 4, 5, and 6. That's 5 cards that you're going to put down. Okay, and yeah, if you're playing 5 ongoing cards, you're going to trigger your Goliath is going to be a 2/6. Alright, and we're just going with the worst case scenario. But typically with this deck, you're able to mix and match things like that. If you're able to mix and match on turn 5, you're going to play 2 cards. So yeah, your Goliath goes up exponentially. And if you have a good curve, you have a good draw, you're able to play 2 cards on turn 1 and turn 2. And yeah, and another thing, the shield, Sam Wilson's shield is ongoing as well. So that's another +1 free power to Goliath. So if you're looking at a very simple, straightforward deck, you have this deck here, Sam Wilson ongoing, take out Lizard, put in Goliath, voila, that's it. Right, and other small nifty combos that can, you know, bounce off is Moonstone. Moonstone into Goliath is pretty big. Alright, it's going to be pretty amazing, right? Because right now you're going to have a 4/6 Moonstone that is boosted by other cards as well. So that's just pure insanity, right? And like what I mentioned in my review video, with this particular deck, sometimes you play Moonstone, you play Mr. Fantastic in the mid lane, you play Moonstone in the mid lane to, you know, boost Mr. Fantastic. But the problem is that lane is kind of weak because yeah, you only have 7 power there. But if you have Goliath there and you play Mr. Fantastic, if you play Goliath mid, you play Mr. Fantastic mid, you play Moonstone mid, that is still going to be quite impactful because your Goliath is big and your Moonstone is also boosted by the Goliath effect. So you're going to have substantial power there as well. So yeah, long story short, this is the first deck that's going to be, you know, that's going to, you can just chuck in Goliath there and it's going to be wonderful. Now the next deck that I'm looking at is a Doom 2099 deck, right? Because Doom 2099 creates two bots which are ongoing. Okay, let me just bring it up. They are ongoing, which means it's going to boost your Goliath, right? Let's say you play Doom bot, let's say you play Doom 2099 on turn 4, just on turn 4 you'll be creating 3 Doom bots, which means +3 to your Goliath, and that's huge. Okay, that's huge for your Goliath. So other components of this deck would be basically, alright, but here's the thing about a little bit of mix and match. With Doom 2099, you'll be filling the board pretty quickly, so we want to play things like M-Man Dazzler. We have Zabu obviously to cheat out Doom 2099 earlier, right? And if you cheat him out earlier, your Goliath just get an additional +1 power. You have a higher chance to fill the board, so that that pumps up M-Man and Dazzler as well. Okay, and you want to play things like Blue Marble, right? Because you have so many cards on board, and the Blue Marble is just going to hit. You know, it's just going to make a huge presence, right? And obviously you still have your Spectrum play, you still have your Captain America play, bouncing the shield between Sam Wilson and Captain America. Steve Rogers is just huge, right? And in a Doom 2099 deck, in an ongoing Doom 2099 deck, Iron Lad, there's nothing bad that Iron Lad hits. In fact, it's amazing. Anything that Iron Lad hits is amazing, right? Especially if it hits Iron Man, if it hits Blue Marble, that's crazy. Not to mention Spectrum. It applies a lot of pressure up front. Iron Man is personally just what I feel would be pretty interesting, because if you play Iron Man into Captain America, if you play Iron Man into a boosted Sam Wilson, it's just a good amount of power. If you play Iron Man to Goliath, it's also a good amount of power, right? So this is the build that I'm going to go with first, and to me it's a very simple play. You just play the cards down. You have Doom 2099 creating those Doom bots. You are putting up good powers across. You do not really have to care much about where you are playing into, as long as you don't clog yourself up, right? Moving forward, out of next week, whereby the mana reverts, whereby the mana goes back to a little bit of normal, to a little bit of normal distribution, whereby you see people play other decks other than ongoing. You'll be taking out Super-Skrull. Super-Skrull is a card that I'm going to put in just for week 1, right? Whereby everyone, I believe, okay, maybe not everyone, but a lot of people will be playing ongoing decks, alright, to travel with Goliath and to, have fun with the Season Pass Captain Color, right? Super-Skrull is going to be insane in mirror matches, right? Imagine just suckering all their ongoing, I mean, in an ongoing mirror match, the player with Super-Skrull will win. It's as simple as that, right? But out of next week, out of next season, this Super-Skrull can change to something like, I don't know, it could be a Moonstone, but in this deck it's kind of difficult to run Moonstone, to be very honest. So it could be a Cosmo, it could be something like a Cosmo, it could be something like, honestly I haven't given much thought, but it could be something like a Cosmo to, stop people from, to safeguard yourself from Enchantress and to just be a general dick, alright, stop their combo. You could be throwing things like Mr. Fantastic, alright, if you like to, just have some spread. Or you could be throwing in Luke Cage if you are afraid of affliction. Okay, yeah, it's the possibilities are pretty open, right? Super-Skrull is going to be a card that you drop once the mana goes back to, a little bit more diverse. Omega Red? No, Omega Red probably, I mean, if you really want to, you could, but it's probably not going to be that impactful. It's not going to be that strong. Yeah, you could try to sneak in Moonstone, but there isn't much for you to duplicate other than maybe Goliath. Yeah. You could forcefully throw in an Anti-Venom, but you do not have Luke Cage, so yeah. So that's a problem that we are going to consider after next week, after next season. I mean, next season I expect to see a lot of ongoing. I mean, the season pass card is an ongoing card, so yeah. But this is something that we have in mind going forward. After next week, after next season, this is a flex spot, which makes this deck a lot more interesting, which opens up this deck to a lot more possibilities. Right, so long story short, the two decks that I will be playing Goliath in, the two decks that I will likely be using to climb for the first week, and hopefully, you know, I'll be making Infinite by then, will be these two decks. Deck list is in the description below. Have fun, see you, and let's have some ongoing Marble Snap fun.